Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the weekend. Welcome to another episode of Quick Hits for your weekend. Now, I know you're probably wondering why I'm dropping so late, why I'm not dropping at my regular time or my regular day. Reason being is because first things first, I've had a crazy week, worked with the election, some things with work, got a little in the way. So I wasn't able to do the show the way that I wanted to, but we're still going to have ourselves a show. Now, I like to cover a barrage of sports because that's what Quick Hits is for. But this time around, I decided I'm only going to focus on what my Fridays are for. And you know what Fridays are for if you've been watching the show, so you'll hold on to that so we can say it together. I'm going to focus on that. I know that there's been a lot of sports. College basketball has began. I've been watching college basketball, loved it. Been watching the men's and the women's college basketball. I'll be talking about that next week on the Tuesday show and on the Friday show as well. I'm looking forward to college basketball. Big college basketball game on Friday as my Carolina Tar Heels are playing the Kansas Jayhawks. Sorry about that. I'm about to say Kansas City Chiefs, but it's the Kansas Jayhawks. University of Kansas, number one team in the nation. My Tar Heels will be playing them. So with all that being considered, I know that's going on. The NHL has been dope. I've been watching the Winnipeg Jets. They beat my Colorado Avalanche. The Jets have been going nuts. The NBA has been going great. I've been watching a lot of sports, but just haven't been able to put this show together. But we're going to focus on one thing on this show. I'm going to come at you talking about some awards that may be won in the said sport I'll be talking about, along with my picks and along with some headlines. And at the end of the show, I'm going to have a little something that happened as well, too. I'm going to end the show on a pretty good note, something to talk about at the end of the show. So, sorry for being late. Also been fighting a little bit of a sinus, but I think I'm good. It's around that time of that season. That fall season always gets me, but it's all good. We're going to have ourselves still a good show. So sit back. Relax. If you have a cup of coffee right now, enjoy that cup of coffee, a soda, your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, whatever it is. Enjoy it with me, Podcast Smitty. Let's hit that theme music.
Can't fall off, now they holler he'll turn, thinking I'ma sell out, talking just to feel heard. I never listen, although they say it's strictly.
Welcome to your weekend episode of Quick Hits. I'm your host, Shannon Smith, aka Podcast Smitty. Thank you guys for watching on Tuesday as we talked about some college football, getting you ready for the weekend. We talked about some women's basketball news in the WNBA and in college as well too. And then we talked about some wrestling, some WWE, if you will. It was a good episode. I appreciate you watching, but go ahead and watch that after you watch this episode, getting you into your weekend, into your festivities. Enjoy it. So guys, without further ado, we'll go ahead and start the show. Now, I like to boast and brag about how certain sports are the only sports talked about on this podcast, such as the WNBA and the NHL. They're the only sports that are talked about on this here podcast on Boom Broadcasting. Now, I'm even more happy to say that college football is talked about on Quick Hits, only on this show. Now, my guys love football. You know, MD and Aaron have their football shows. Aaron has the Gridiron Address on Sundays. So make sure you watch that. Mike talks about the NFL and Outta Pocket. Talks about the Dallas Cowboy football, which is another story, on Dad and the Boys. But on Quick Hits, we talk about all assets of football, from the pros to college. We talk about that. So we're going to talk about some college football before we talk about the Friday football, before we talk about the games and make our picks. I want to talk about some college football because there is an award that is usually given out in college football and college football only, and that is the Heisman Trophy. Now, if you caught Outta Pocket on Tuesday when we were talking about the trade deadline for the NFL. MD had it going on for about 2-3 hours. We had a very good time on Outta Pocket. We had some fun. I dipped my toe in talking about some college football. And I asked the question, if you had one vote, who you voting for Heisman Trophy? Now, of course, the Heisman Trophy is going to be given out next month. We're going to be talking about that. But I want to talk about this because this is a race that's very, very interesting. The Heisman Trophy, of course, has been given out to a lot of players in many positions, but mostly it's been a quarterback most of the time. Now, in this one, in this Heisman Trophy race that we've got going on, we've got some players in there that deserve to go. We got some players that deserve to win it. You know how it goes. Everybody talks about who they want to win the Heisman Trophy. Now, usually they send 5 players to New York and they talk about these players and then they award the Heisman Trophy to the player that got the most votes. This year, there are 5 Heisman Trophy guys. There are 5 candidates for the Heisman Trophy. In my opinion, if we were going to New York, this is who I would send. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say honorable mentions to Curtis Rourke, Shedeur Sanders. Those are guys there that may have some considerations, some names in the hat that probably could go, but I don't think they're going to go. I narrowed it down to 5. I've got Jackson Dart, senior quarterback from Ole Miss. I've got Dylan Gabriel, the senior quarterback from Oregon. I've got Travis Hunter, senior wide receiver / DB for Colorado. Cam Ward, senior quarterback from Miami. And Ashton Jeanty, the junior running back from Boise State. Now, let's talk about these guys here because there's a lot to talk about with a lot of these players. Those 5 guys right there are some great players. Talking about Cam Ward, we'll talk about him first. Cam Ward, senior quarterback from that talented Miami squad that is undefeated as we speak. Cam Ward, 3,146 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 picks. Solid player. Cam's been putting up 50 burgers on that offense. They've been running guys off the field. They had a great game against Duke last week, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns for Cam Ward. Solid pick, I would say. And then, of course, Travis Hunter, who plays 2 positions, plays wide receiver and defensive back. As a defensive back, 20 tackles, 7 passes deflected, 2 interceptions. As a corner, as a receiver, 60 catches, 757 yards, and 8 touchdowns. One of the biggest debates is that Travis Hunter is the best football player in all of college football. And who can blame anybody for saying that? Anybody who plays on both sides of the ball, he doesn't hardly get a break. My man is on offense, scores a touchdown, goes off the field for a few seconds, comes back on defense. Travis is that good of a player, very, very well-conditioned player. He's a lockdown corner. He is a deep threat receiver, incredible player. Travis Hunter is great, playing for Coach Prime in Colorado. Then we go to another quarterback is Dylan Gabriel. 2,665 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 picks for Dylan Gabriel from Hawaii. He's a great player for that Oregon Ducks team. Undefeated in the Big Ten, a very, very hard conference to play in. Then we go to Ashton Jeanty, the lone running back in this Heisman Trophy race. Single-handedly, most yards by a running back. He ran for 13,000 yards last year. This year, he's running for 1,525 yards. I'm sorry, he ran for 1,300 yards last year. He's now running for 1,500 yards, over 1,500 yards, 20 touchdowns. Incredible running back, Ashton Jeanty, Boise State University by way of Jacksonville, Florida. And then Jackson Dart, who rounds it out. Jackson Dart had an incredible game last week. 510 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's throwing for 3,217 yards. 3,217 yards, 21 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for the Ole Miss Rebels. Man, we've got some guys putting up some mean numbers right now. I'm going to tell you what, though. Whoever you're picking is great. I want to know who you're picking in the comments. I want to know. Definitely talk about who needs to be picked in the comments. As of right now, looking at these guys and how well they're playing, I want to talk about something that knocks them out of being a Heisman Trophy winner. Cam Ward, for example. Cam Ward, to be honest with you, I don't see what would be anything that would knock him out unless he drops the next 2 games or drops 1 game. I don't see how he would. Cam's been playing very, very good football on that undefeated Miami squad. Jason Colenso said it best. If he does go undefeated and he gets them to that national championship and the U is back, Cam gets the Heisman Trophy. Travis Hunter, why he wouldn't get the Heisman Trophy, I don't know myself either. Because I would say that individually, I don't know, but he plays on a 2-loss squad in Colorado. It's going to be very hard giving the Heisman Trophy to a player who lost more than 2 games. Jalen Milroe, that's the reason why he's not in this conversation. Dylan Gabriel is on an undefeated squad right now in Oregon. He seems like he may be a shoe-in. It's a possibility, but I don't see his yards as incredible as Jackson Dart's or Cam Ward's. I really don't see that. He wins it, but he's not the flashy quarterback that Cam Ward or Jackson Dart would be. Ashton Jeanty, to me, I think is the guy who should get it. 1,500 yards after coming off a 1,300-yard season in your sophomore year, going into your junior year, probably being one of the greatest running backs in all of college football. I say Ashton Jeanty should win it, but he plays in Boise State. He plays out on the West. Hardly anybody sees him. He's not on the flashy squad like Alabama or Texas or any of those big squads. So he's chopped liver in a way. But man, what a football player he is. He runs heavy. He runs hard. Very aggressive player. Jackson Dart, to me, once again, a 2-loss squad is what deters it for me. But Jackson Dart's putting up numbers. If there's a quarterback I think that would be as impressive, it's got to be Jackson Dart. He's got the yards to prove it. He's found the end zone. He plays great football. But who have you got? Who you got as your Heisman? Is it one of these 5 guys? Who is it? Let's find out in the comments. We'll be talking about this again because the Heisman Trophy will be picked next month. But these are your front runners as we speak. So here's your Heisman quick hits for this week. And of course, if you've been watching the show, you know what Fridays are for. I've been alluding to it into the intro. So you know what it's for. Friday is for football. That's right. We got our college football coming up this weekend. We got a lot of games to look at and make picks for. And then we got the NFL. I'll be hitting the headlines and the picks for the NFL. So let's go ahead and get started with the college game. Whole slate of games that could consider what is going to happen in the 12-team playoff, in conference championships, in the rivalries, whatever we got going on. These games are going to shape what goes on in college football. So we'll start off with Ohio State versus Purdue. Ohio State, a 38-point favorite in this game. I don't see them losing that game. Go ahead and give it to the Buckeyes of Ohio State. Miami and Georgia Tech. Now, this game is a sleeper. This is going to be another sleeper here. Georgia Tech was ranked at one point in time. They've had a little trouble getting started on the offense. Got figured out a little bit. That run heavy, that option offense might be getting figured out a little bit. Miami's been playing incredibly well with Cam Ward, the top quarterback in the nation, at least the way I see it. I think he's the top quarterback in the nation. Miami, I think, gets the win over Georgia Tech. They're an 11-point favorite. So I think they come out of this one maybe by 2 touchdowns in this game. It won't be a runaway game. Georgia Tech will fight, but Miami will get it done. Texas over Florida. 21.5-point favorite Texas is. I don't see Texas losing to Florida. Florida's hung in there in some games, some key games. About gave Tennessee their first loss in the rivalry game, but it didn't happen. Florida, I think, is going to lose it to the Longhorns. Now, I like this next game here. 2.5-point favorite that Georgia and Ole Miss are playing. Give me the Rebels. Give me the Rebels by 10. I think Ole Miss has an offense that can run with Georgia. I think Carson Beck's turnover problems last week almost got him the game. Almost gave him the game away. I think the turnover problems might be something that Georgia might be seeing again with Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a lightning offense with Jackson Dart throwing 6 touchdowns actually, 510 yards in that game last week. He played incredible. I think Ole Miss is going to shock Georgia, and they're going to get them. They've been beating the crap out of each other in the SEC. The SEC has no undefeated teams at all in conference play or playing throughout the regular season. The Southeastern Conference beating up on each other, and it'll continue to happen. I think Ole Miss is going to get Georgia. And Indiana will win convincingly against Michigan. Curtis Rourke coming back last week, having a great game. And then Indiana with Coach Cincinnati doing some wonderful coaching, some leadership on that sideline. Indiana off to one of their best starts in school history. I think they'll continue it with Michigan. Michigan's had trouble with the quarterback play, inconsistency on offense. I don't think they'll be able to run with Indiana. Indiana's got them. They're a 14-point favorite. I think they'll get them by at least 14. And then Iowa State, who lost last week, heartbreaker to Texas Tech. They're playing the Kansas Jayhawks. I think Iowa State will get by them. Kansas is only a 3-point dog to Iowa State. But I think Iowa State will get away with it. I think they'll win it by 10. And Army in North Texas, a 6-point favorite Army is. North Texas, not a bad football squad, but I think Army keeps on going, keeps on being undefeated. So give me Army over North Texas. And Clemson playing Virginia Tech. The Hokies are an up-and-down squad. I think Dabo Swinney and Clemson will get the job done against the Hokies. They're a 6.5-point favorite. I think Clemson will get it done, but it'll be a close one. So give me Clemson. And Colorado and Texas Tech. Texas Tech coming off the big win of previously undefeated Iowa State. But I think Colorado might have a little something there. Coach Prime and the boys, Shedeur Sanders, will have some very good play at quarterback. You know, Travis Hunter, of course, the Heisman hopeful, I think will be playing some good football against Texas Tech. Give me the Buffaloes against Texas Tech. And this game, I think I'm very excited for this game here. Another SEC showdown with Vandy and South Carolina. South Carolina coming off a big win at Texas A&M last week. Give me the Gamecocks over Vanderbilt. The Commodores will fall in this one. Vandy getting back into the top 25. I think they'll fall in this one here as South Carolina will get the win. That defense has been great for South Carolina. It's going to be hard for Vandy to score. South Carolina by 7. And in Oregon, I think they'll take care of Maryland. They'll take care of business against the Terrapins. They're a 25-point favorite. Give me Oregon. And Tennessee over Mississippi State. Tennessee is a 21.5-point favorite. Give me Tennessee. I think they'll get it done against the Bulldogs. And Notre Dame over Florida State. Florida State, only one win this year. Not the best year for Florida State. Very bad year. Notre Dame is making everybody feel their wrath after their beginning of the season loss to NIU. Notre Dame has not looked back since, and they're killing it right now. So give me Notre Dame over Florida State, 26-point favorite. They'll get it done. This, to me, is the game of the games here. Alabama versus LSU. Give me the Tigers. Give me the Tigers over Alabama. And the reason for that is because Alabama's 2 losses have came on the road. They're going to Death Valley. LSU has played some very good football in Death Valley. I believe they're going to get the win because of the home field. So give me LSU against Alabama. Jalen Milroe versus Garrett Nussmeier. This is going to be a very good quarterback matchup in the SEC. Looking forward to this game. And Penn State over Washington. Washington, I don't think, is out of this game. I don't think they're out of this game. Penn State, after losing to Ohio State for the 8th consecutive game, they're looking for retribution against the Washington Huskies. I think they will get it. So give me Penn State over Washington. And Boise State, a 25-point favorite over Nevada. The Wolfpack, I don't think they have anything for this high-powered offense that Boise State has. Of course, Ashton Genty is incredible, but Maddox at the quarterback, Maddox can play some football. The sophomore playing very good football out there at the quarterback position. And Boise State's got a defense that gets after the quarterback. I believe they're number 1 in sacks in all of the NCAA. So Boise State should make short work of the Nevada Wolfpack. And Pitt will take on Virginia. I believe Pitt will win that game. They're a 7-point favorite. Give me Pitt over Virginia. Pitt's not in the top 25 anymore. They're actually in the top 25. Sorry about that. They actually still are. Virginia's going to be a tough game, but I think Pitt will get it done. And BYU still getting slept on a little bit. They're a 4.5-point favorite against the Utah Utes. The Holy War will be going on, but give me BYU over Utah. And Washington State and Utah State to round out all your games to be looking at. Give me Washington State over Utah State. They're a 20.5-point favorite over Utah State. So give me Washington State, the last of the Pac teams. The last of the Pac teams still getting it done. Still trying to get inside of that top 25, get that big bowl game. Trying to get a little more closer to the field of 12. Let's see what happens. These are going to be a great slate of games this week as we get closer and closer to bowl season, to the 12-team playoff to determine your national champion of the 2024-2025 season. This is your college football quick hits for this week. Enjoy the games, watch the games. Let's go. And after you enjoy that great slate of Saturday football for college, make sure you tune in to the pros this Sunday as we've got a great slate of games. So let's hit these headlines first. For the Dallas Cowboys have had some trouble. CeeDee Lamb a little bit day-to-day with his injury, and Dak is going to be out. Looks like Cooper Rush is going to have to come in for the Dallas Cowboys. They've been having trouble with the losses. They've been having trouble with the offensive line, the run defense. Now they have a little trouble here as they've got injuries coming. So let's see what the Cowboys got with Dak being out. And the Washington Commanders, who had a great trade deadline, had a great season, having a great season so far, best season since 1996. Aikman Chambers, who was on Outta Pocket with Michael Davis on this past Tuesday. Myself and Jason Colenso were on that show. Aikman's over the moon about how the Commanders are doing this year, and he should be one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, playing at a high level of play. Guys want to go to the Commanders. New rebirth here in Washington. So congrats to them. Go back and watch that episode. We had a lot of fun. We got to cover all the trade deadline on Tuesday's episode of Outta Pocket. So make sure you go watch that. And the Panthers getting a big win against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints end up firing their coach. There's trouble in the locker room with Derek Carr's performance. The receivers are talking about how he gets them injured. Chris Olave getting his second concussion. There's a lot of turmoil in New Orleans. We'll keep you posted. We'll see what's going on there. But it's not good for the Saints. And the Chiefs are still undefeated after an overtime win on Monday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who could have had that game. Unfortunately, they came up short. They are playing some very good football. So no sleeping on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No sleeping. But it was tough But Kansas City keeps squads in it, but they jerk it away at the end, and they stay undefeated. We got some other news as well, too. Chuba Hubbard signing on for an extension for the Panthers. They need that automatic offense. Chuba's been playing his tail off. He deserves all the money that he gets. Me and my man Ryan Frick covering the Panthers. Of course, we wouldn't have an episode of the Cat Cave because Ryan's on vacation. So we didn't have an episode this week, sadly. And of course, we wouldn't have one when the Panthers win. Just our luck. But that's all right. Chuba getting his money. He deserves that extension. And CMC will be coming back for the San Francisco 49ers, making his season debut after being on IR. So let's hope that CMC not only stays healthy, but still comes back and plays that high level of play. Bang, bang, Niner gang. So we got the headlines done. So let's go ahead and get these picks for this week. The Panthers are going to be going to Munich, playing the New York Giants. Giants are a 6.5-point underdog. I'm wavering over this because this is a winnable game for the Carolina Panthers. The Giants have been on a skid. Daniel Jones not playing his best football. The squad is not executing so great on offense. But I think the Panthers might have a little something. I think Bryce is getting his legs underneath him. He played pretty well against the Saints. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Panthers win this game. And it's going to be ugly. It's going to be a very ugly game. I think the Panthers win it by 6. So give me the Carolina Panthers. I'm being a homer today. Let's go. And Chicago taking on New England. Give me the Bears over the Patriots. The Patriots have been wavering back and forth. You know, Gerard Mayo calling his squad a soft squad. But Drake May and Caleb Williams are going to play some good football. A very good first-round matchup, a first-round picks. This is going to be a fun one. But Chicago, I think the better squad top to bottom will take down the New England Patriots. And Buffalo, when Buffalo is on, they're dangerous. I got them beating the Indy Colts with Joe Flacco at quarterback. It looks like they're staying with Joe Flacco. Andy Richardson's still sitting. I don't think Indy's got the remedy or the formula to beat the Buffalo Bills. So give me Buffalo in this matchup. Kansas City will play Denver. Kansas City, I believe, will beat them. Denver has played very, very well with Bo Nix at quarterback. They've got a pretty good, solid team. Good team. But Kansas City is a great squad. There's a lot of talk about Kansas City might not be looking at their form to where they could win a third Super Bowl. But I must say, quoting the great Ric Flair, to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man. And Kansas City is still the man until it's all said and done. They are the man. So Kansas City will beat Denver in this game. Atlanta over New Orleans. New Orleans having the locker room trouble, not playing as a team. Atlanta's playing solid football. My man Kirk Cousins throwing that rock real, real well. I think they're going to have a good game against New Orleans. They're a squad that looks like they might be having a tank season, that tank job. So give it to Atlanta. And I think my San Francisco 49ers will get Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay coming off of a short week and some extended football on Monday night. I think my 49ers will get them. CMC will be back in the lineup. We're getting healthy at the right time. My guys are getting healthy. I think they've got the formula to beat Tampa Bay. Little banged up squad that they are. So let's go. San Francisco over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Pittsburgh. I believe Pittsburgh will get the win over Washington. Washington had a great trade deadline. They've been playing at a high level, but the Steelers have been sneaky good as of late, making the switches on offense. But their defense is a great defense. They have a great young TJ Watt playing on that squad. I don't know if Washington has seen a defense this good this season. So give me Pittsburgh to slow down the Washington Commanders. I think they'll slow them down. I think that it'll be a hard-fought match. We're going to see which team is gritty, and I think the Steelers are a gritty squad against the Washington Commanders. And Minnesota over Jacksonville. Minnesota is still tough, still a good squad. They've been on a skid as of late, losing the 2 games that they've lost. But I think that they've got something for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Minnesota gets the win. The Los Angeles Chargers over the Tennessee Titans. Titans, another squad. Looks like they might be saving themselves for next year. Might be tanking to see what they can get in the draft in the first round. And give me Philly over the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys is not playing Dak Prescott because they're injured. They're having trouble inside that locker room. They're having trouble inside that team. Philadelphia will get the win in this one here. Jalen Hurts and the guys going to go ahead and get it done. In Arizona over the New York Jets. Kyler Murray and the guys, they're a sneaky good offense. Sneaky good squad. The NFC West is very, very sneaky. We don't know who's going to win it, with the Rams getting healthy at the right time, with the 49ers getting healthy at the right time. Arizona getting off to a good start. Kind of slowed down a little bit, but they can still play. And Seattle, we don't know what Seattle is either. So Arizona going to take the New York Jets. They're going to get them. And then Detroit will play Houston. Give me Detroit. I don't think Houston's a bad football squad by any means, but they've got some injuries. They don't have their number ones in at the receiver spot. Stephon Diggs out for the season. Still iffy on Nico Collins, but Tank Dell played some good football last week, and he deserves his flowers. Joe Mixon played very well in the run game. Houston's got a defense that can play, but Detroit is on the mission. Detroit is angry because my boys beat them in the NFC Championship, and they've been making mincemeat out of everybody, putting up 50 burgers. Jared Goff being in consideration for MVP. So give me Detroit over Houston. Detroit's a hot squad. Keep it going. Detroit over Houston. And on Monday Night Football, we got the Los Angeles Rams against the Miami Dolphins. Give me the Rams. They're healthy at the right time. Miami wavering just a little bit with the injuries, getting Tua back underneath center. But this is going to be a good game. Give me the Los Angeles Rams. Y'all enjoy the football. Enjoy it, because it's going to be fun. We're getting into the playoff picture, into the thick of it. Let's go. This is your NFL quick hits for this week. Let's watch some football. And we got to the end of the show, but I want to end the show a little differently than what I usually do. I'm going to get to my thank yous and my shout outs and all that at the end of this. We're going to have ourselves a Jim Rome moment. One of my favorite shows when I was growing up was Jim Rome is Burning. And Jim Rome would have the final burn. So this is kind of like my final burn right here. I want to talk about this here. I want to say congratulations to the 7th and 8th grade Central Wilkes Middle School Falcons for winning 3 Super Bowls in middle school football in my hometown in Moravian Falls, North Carolina. Congrats to them. A good friend of mine, Coach Nick Reese, who I love to death, who is a wonderful coach, great football mind, getting the 3rd championship for his young boys. Love the guy. Sub for him a few times when I worked full time with the school system. He was one of the guys I saw on a daily basis. Loved him to death. Great dude. One day I may have him on the show. Who knows? Little Coach's Corner. Talk to me, Coach. We might have to talk about that. But anyway, why I want to say that here is because I want to give kudos to a great man, and I also want to give kudos to some great kids as well, too. Love those kids. They're a great group of kids. Had them in class at one point in time. Great group of kids. But I want to talk about something here. Of course, we're getting out of youth football and we're heading into youth basketball, but there's youth sports all over the place. It's wonderful seeing young people play the sports that they love. But I also want to talk to some of these parents. Now, I had a good friend talk to me about her children that were involved in youth sports And they had a parent go and talk about how those kids cheated during a match. And she told me all about it. She told me what was going on. It was all on Facebook. It was silly. This is coming from a man that has no children biologically, but has children that I've taught. I know their families, their parents that play youth sports. And they love it and they enjoy it. They have a great time. One thing I've always learned from a lot of the coaches that involve themselves in youth sports, it's never the kids. It's hardly ever the kids. Hardly ever. The kids have a great time. They enjoy it. It's just some of these adults act like they have no sense, have no shame, embarrass their kids by acting silly. Listen, just because you were not good at the sport that you played when you were younger doesn't mean you have to push it on your child. Youth sports, winning is great. Winning is wonderful. We applaud winning. We do. As a society, we applaud winning. But the fact of the matter is, we also have to look at sportsmanship. We also have to look at fairness, class, carrying yourself in the right manner in front of other people. You guys are adults. These kids are playing and they're loving it. Yeah, we teach them how to win. We teach them how to be good sports. We teach them self-esteem. Youth sports is for that. But why in the world do you have to go on Facebook and act foolish and talk bad about other people's kids? That's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. It really is that you have to go out there and act this way. And these young guys and girls are playing their hearts out and playing good at whatever sport they're playing, whether it's cheer, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whatever it is that your child plays, t-ball, baseball, whatever it is. Us as adults, we got to act right. We have to be better than this because our kids are seeing that. And when they see how we act, they're going to act that way when they get older. And they're going to turn into bad adults. They're going to turn into adults that don't know how to control their emotions, don't know how to ask, don't know how to talk. And they're going to be embarrassing. They're going to embarrass other people, embarrass themselves. Adults, we got to do better. We really, really do, because our kids are seeing us. And you're taking the fun out of the game, and you're taking the enjoyment out of the game. Let those kids play. If they're not that great, work with them. Let their coaches work with them. Don't go out there being foolish. Act like you got some sense in those stands. Please. With that being said, guys, thank you for watching the show. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for tuning in to all the shows on Boom Broadcasting. Keep it going. Keep it going here. I know I'm outside of my time frame or outside of where you watch or when you watch. But guys, thank you so much for rocking with this show. Thank you for rocking with Boom Broadcasting. Thank you to my man, Jason Colenso. Thank you to my man, Michael Davis, for having me on Outta Pocket. Thank you for mouthing off and Mike having me on the Nightcap. And thanks for Mike having me on Outta Pocket on Friday. Thank you guys so much. See you all next week. Enjoy the football, the basketball, the baseball, the hockey, the wrestling, all the sports that you're watching this week. And also enjoy your kids. If they're going out there playing sports, enjoy your kids. Enjoy it all. I'm Shannon Smith, and this is Quick Hits.